Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I am one of the guests this week. I'm Dana Piccoli. I'm the editor of News Is Out, a queer media collaboration, and we have some amazing folks with us, starting with...
Hello, it's Crystal.
Hi, it's Philip Ellis, back again.
And Ian Carlos Crawford. Dana, you're not a guest, you're a co-host.
Oh, I'm a co-host for Slayerfest 98.
The one episode that I actually do the expecting where Cordelia gets the mystical pregnancy, you're going to be the host for that episode, Dana.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, hi. We are here to talk about episode, God, is this 10? I think it's 10.
It's 10.
Yeah, 10 Parting Gifts. So Doyle has left us, and this episode is like I think for a transition episode, I think it works really well. What did everyone think of it, like, in general? Crystal, what'd you think?
I was pleasantly surprised.
Right?
I enjoyed it. I think I remember feeling like the introduction of Wesley was a bit ham-fisted and that they hadn't necessarily transitioned very well. And I still think that, but I also just quite enjoyed the episode, and it was nice to have a bit of lightheartedness. I think the show did a lot of Buffyisms, and it did them well. And it just removed a little bit of the overly serious veneer that I think this season has been suffering from, and it was an enjoyable watch.
All right.
And I think that's about as positive as I've been about this season so far. So.
I know. Dana, what'd you think?
Okay, so I'm an Angel newbie, so
Yeah.
this is new for me. Am I supposed to like Wesley? Because I didn't like him in Buffy, and when he came on the screen, I was like, I know I'm supposed to like this guy, but I just don't.
We'll get there with him. Like,
Okay,
I think,
okay.
It's very much like there is a Glenn Quinn-shaped hole in the cast, and they need another character who's going to come in as comic relief. And actually, Wesley works better when he's less goofy and pathetic and more actually dramatic.
Right.
So
Right.
that was. I mean, yeah, I agree with you and with Crystal, where the Wesley introduction is probably the weakest part of the episode.
Right.
To me, the I don't know what it was about this episode or the filming or something. It feels dated to me, where a lot of other episodes and like Buffy episodes don't feel. I mean, aside from some of the 90s, early aughts fashion, there was something about it that just felt kind of dated.
Yes, I think a lot of the Angel episodes, especially this season, feel dated in a way that Buffy does not, which is weird to say because, like you mentioned, Dana, the fashion is very of the time on Buffy, but it feels more like almost timeless because it's of the time, and Angel's kind of just like a little flat.
Mm.
And like, I don't know. But Philip, what do you think of the episode?
So I had quite fond memories of this one. I remember very, very clearly kind of watching the show when it was first airing, and the Doyle death being such a shock, and then this kind of being like a nice chaser where it's like it's a way of saying goodbye to that character while also then like introducing Wesley and setting up more of what the show is going to be moving forward, which is Cordelia is now the person who has visions, and that's going to be the status quo for a long time, where Wesley's going to be main cast for the rest of the show. It's going more in the fantasy and sort of like the underworld beneath LA and less just sort of straight cop show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's doing a lot of stuff that it's going to get really, really good at. And I thought, as a follow-up to Hero, it was a nice mix of, we had a little bit of grief and mourning for Doyle, but also some hijinks and some humor in it. Yeah, I think overall it's actually held up quite well.
I will say this. I think that Angel did a really good job at casting its kind of guest actors.
Mm-hmm.
Like the guy that plays Barney, I think his name is Maury Sterling. He's really good. Like they have some really solid guests and like kind of recurring characters. Just a really nice job done by these actors.
Yeah, that's funny, Dana, because even though I've watched this and like, I've gone through the series, Angel is the only series that I like only go through when I'm like making someone watch it for the first time. Like if you're dating me and you haven't watched Buffy, you got to watch both Buffy and Angel. I forgot that he's bad. And like, I kept thinking like, oh, this actor's really good. I wish they had kept him around like as their like demon pal. But then the twist is that he's evil, so they couldn't keep him around. But so Philip and Crystal, I don't know if you two thought about this. I kept thinking like, oh, he's an empath. Oh, they realized that kind of worked and they transferred it to Lorne in season 2, right?
I literally had that in my notes.
Yeah.
And it's the first time that because I watched this episode quite recently because I've been making my way through season 1 for this show. And then I rewatched this specific one today and I was like, oh, it is Lorne. It's like, even down to like, the horns and the sort of...
patterned shirt.
Yes. And kind of even like the slightly kind of worldly wise, a little bit snarky, and then obviously Lorne goes more into the kind of campy Faye side of it. But it's like they're figuring stuff out that's going to pay off later.
Yeah. They figured out. Oh, we've got Lorne's straight brother. Let's just bring just turn up the dial on gay, and I think it'll work. Yeah, on the Wesley thing as well, Dana. I think you're not supposed to like him, but I think it's kind of refreshing to see the show leaning into a little bit of the mocking masculinity, which Buffy was so good at. And I think that's, again, what I was responding to positively, because it's been so dour and serious up till now. Okay, Angel's had a few moments of brevity and lightness, and he's gotten to get out of it a little bit. But for the most part, it's pretty serious. So it's just nice to have a bit of comic relief.
Yeah, totally makes sense.
Yeah, I think, Crystal, that's exactly why, like, Wesley does kind of work, because it's like, bringing, and like, it's also I feel like the show at the top tried to stray so far from Buffy, but bringing Wesley in, and like, it's Wesley, Cordelia, and Angel are 3 main characters. These are all Buffy characters, and they kind of lean into, like you said, Philip, they're figuring themselves out, and they're like, oh, we can lean a little bit more into Buffy. We can make it, like, I thought the twist of Barney being the actual bad guy, when it's like a twist that he's not, and then a twist that he is, like, did work, right? And them being like, oh, we can still do a noir mystery, but like, we don't have to make it take itself so seriously.
Totally.
But yeah, so this episode, the intro of Wesley, truly, especially watching it, Dana, so I know you probably knew Wesley was on the show, right?
Yes.
Did you know that was him?
No, because I've tried to keep myself like kind of spoiler free about it.
Okay.
So I knew he was coming in at some point, and it made sense that if Doyle was gone, that they were going to replace him with someone. I didn't realize it would be so soon.
Mm-hmm. Right. It is like very silly that it's like, ooh, this like leather-clad motorcycle demon hunter, and it's like fucking Wesley. Like, even it's even like at the end when they're like saving Cordelia and he immediately falls over. It's like, but what the hell was he doing on that motorcycle for? Yeah. And Philip, you mentioned this. I like that we do at least get a little bit of grief here. We don't just like completely move on from Doyle's death. Like Cordelia, when she's like looking through the coffee cups and she's like, which one is Doyle's favorite? And Angel's like, he didn't really have a favorite. I thought like we could have almost used a couple more of those scenes, but I did like that Angel's thing is to step into action. So we open on the oracles, right?
Yeah, so he asks the oracles to rewind time to bring Doyle back, which makes perfect sense because we have literally seen 2 episodes ago them do that exact thing. And I love that they're just like, no, the plot requires that we say no. It was fine that time, but not this time. So no.
So a fun fact, which Crystal and I know, Summer Bishler told us in I Will Remember You recording it, she was like, that guy looks familiar, and that guy did the male oracle did her headshots. He's a celebrity photographer now.
That's so fun. I love the oracles. I know we only really see them in this season, and they are more of like, they're a signpost for like the very broad mythic fantasy that the show's going to give us more of. But I just love that the oracles, it's like, yeah, it's this woman with curly hair and her gay brother.
Right.
So bad.
Hanging around like in a like what is that, like a Roman bathhouse or something?
Oh, it was so Xena-ish.
Yes.
That whole scene.
Dana, that's really accurate.
I know. I felt like I was like, wait a minute.
Xena loved that kind of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say it's not his first time hanging around a sauna.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, and so like I mean, I said this and I will remember you. I think the oracles work as like a silly plot device really well because, like you said, Philip, it's like this like woman and her gay brother, and they're just like camping it up. I would have if we had them throughout most of the show, as like Angel has to visit them a lot, I would have been down for that.
We get a nice little Star Trek reference in that scene as well. And I'm a fucking nerd because maybe I'm just projecting this, but when Angel says, he was my friend, and the Lady Oracle says, if that is true, then so shall that ever be. And I was like, oh, that's like in The Wrath of Khan when Spock sacrifices himself and says, I am and always shall be your friend.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, Philip.
Wow.
Dang.
That was some extreme nerding. I love that. I wonder if that was intentional.
I feel like it must be, like, because Star Trek, like, there's like Buffy and Angel have such Star Trek DNA in the sort of there's connective tissue there, and I'm sure people who worked on these shows must have loved that stuff.
Yeah, I do. I do feel like it was a bunch of nerds writing these shows. Philip, I love when you out nerd me. I'm always impressed.
It doesn't happen often, so I'm very proud of that.
But yeah, so then we get that scene with Cordelia and Angel, and then we just cut to like, ooh, there's a mysterious man on a bike that we know is Wesley hunting down this demon, who later we learn is named Barney. And I love that that's like the cut scene, because also, and I mean, Cordelia does say this, Barney dresses like Doyle, but a lot of the like side characters do, so I can't tell if that was just like how they styled.
It's a lot of the side characters are, and I know that this has come up in a previous episode where it's like the writers have no idea what a worldly, slightly criminal man looks like, so they're like, life on Mars, you're going to dress like that.
Well, I was going to say he dresses like when Angel put on his Hawaiian shirt to go undercover at that pier.
Kristen and I are never letting that go.
No, and it's like the writers are like, how do we subtly hint that something is like not quite what it seems? A Hawaiian shirt and a Long Island accent. Or like a broad New York. I don't know. Where is Barney from? Is it New Jersey? Is it?
We don't know.
Yeah,
it could be New Jersey.
No idea.
But this show, it really has something against people from that place, whatever it is.
So Philip, we've kind of, and this, I feel weird even mentioning this without Summer being here, but The Magicians is one of the few genre shows that I think like made sure we saw the characters were grieving, and I had forgotten that we even got any grief from Cordelia, and I kind of do like that, right? Because it also like balances Cordelia well, where she's like upset about Doyle, and she's like, "I'm not leaving you alone, Angel," and then is like, "Oop, I have an audition, gotta go."
That's a great scene because,
right?
Yeah, and once again, it's Angel is being Angel, and she's like, no, you can't push me away. That's not the healthy thing to do. Like, we have to feel these feelings together. We've both lost our friend, and then it's like a very perfectly, she's correct in that, but it's a perfectly Cordelia moment. And then she's like, oh, but I have an audition, so like, but I am coming back. I am coming back.
I identify so much with Cordelia in Angel, like too many ways. It's creeping me out.
Dana, you would be the one telling me how to start a business, so
I'd also cry through an audition. So,
oh my god, I mean, we'll get there, but that was that like broke my heart, but also it's so funny.
Yeah. She opens the door and she encounters Barney, and there is like I love that like she screams and he screams and he's like, "You scared me," and she's like, "Did you look in a mirror? You scared me." I thought that was like very cute.
And I love that Barney is feeling himself, and he's like, "Yeah, of course I look in the mirror."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, Dane, I do think he's good, right?
I think he's a great actor.
Yeah. Again, if he hadn't have been the villain, I think he would have been a cool character to have, like, hang out sometimes and stick around and be reoccurring. But season 1 was definitely not about that.
I totally couldn't remember watching it back. I was like, I feel like there's a twist, and then the first twist happens. I'm like, okay, and
right.
And it, like, even having watched this before and not that long ago, I still couldn't remember kind of who was the villain and who wasn't, which means it was a pretty decent double bluff, which, good for Angel.
Because they didn't always do that so well.
Considering, like, it was really sold as a mystery show, the mysteries were never very intricate.
Yes.
And this is the first one where it's like, it's a nice 1-2 punch. You've got Barney and then the con guy demon and Wesley all kind of in play together. There's a fair bit going on, but it never overwhelms. No one thing overwhelms the other. It kind of it works, and then it's still resolved nicely in a big fight scene because these TV shows have to have a fight scene at the end, and it's like, yeah, it's good, and it's like like I say, it's like a soft reboot, and it's like, this is what the show's going to be: bit of mystery, bit of fantasy, bit of hijinks.
Yeah, you're right. It is like a soft reboot. It really is. But yeah, no, I thought he was really good especially for a one-off character. I kind of like that we kind of get that he's an empath up front because he's like, oh, good luck. And like, he realizes she's nervous for an audition or whatever. I also do like the idea of an empath being a villain. Like, I do like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like on TikTok.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I'm just an empath. Yeah, and so like, he tells Angel he's being followed. We assume it's this motorcycled man. Yeah, and then so then we do get you mentioned it at the audition, Dana. What happens at the audition?
So Cordelia, like, she's grieving, and this is where it all starts coming out. So she's on the verge of tears. The people, the producers are like, well, that was kind of shitty. Let's try it again. And then she has like this mind-racking vision, and the way she delivers the lines through it is so fantastic. But she starts having this vision, and we know that something has been transferred to Ms. Cordelia from Doyle.
Dana, did you know that happened on the show or no?
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Yeah, and I kind of love that she doesn't stop like delivering the lines, even though she's just screaming them instead.
And they're like, well, thank you for that change in, thank you for taking direction.
Yeah.
Not the direction we wanted, but...
I feel like Cordelia getting a vision is like one of my, like, if I think of Angel, that's kind of what that will be the image in my head of the series in general. So it's kind of nice that we're getting into that zone of the show. It's just, again, it's like, it's a beat shift, and I feel like we're getting into the real Angel, which is great. I find watching that scene with Cordelia, like, I did love it for its comedic effect, but I want Cordelia to be good at things. I want her to be a good actress. Because she's so confident, and she's the boss when she's with the Angel crew, you know? She doesn't take anything. I hate that she leaves that fold and she's a bit of a dweeb. It's like seeing her at that Hollywood party in the early episode 1 maybe, and she doesn't know anyone and she's awkward. I'm like, no, you're Cordelia, you're hot. Like, everyone wants you to be good at things. It's frustrating to watch her struggle, but
I actually like it for the opposite reason, Crystal. Like, I like that she's not good at these things because she's Cordelia fucking Chase, right? So you expect her to be like so good at so many things, but she's not. Like, acting, it's not her gig. This what's happening now, what will happen to her, in the future, that is her gig.
But I will say, I do love that even if she's not the most gifted actress, she understands the assignment, and she shows up wearing Stepford wife drag to the Stain Be Gone audition.
It is a gorgeous outfit.
I do kind of agree with Crystal. I'm always like, I always hated that she was a bad actor. Like, I always wanted her to be good at it, since that's like her dream. And I hate that later when Barney's reading her, that he's like, and you even know you're a bad actor. I'm like, no, I don't want her to think she's a bad actor.
Yeah, exactly. It's not in Cordelia's character to if she is bad, to recognize that she's bad. Because, like, I guess what I'm saying is I want her to be a little bit arch camp, like an Emma Frost, where she's absolutely fantastic at everything that she does. And I realize that's completely unrealistic for a character, but it is fun to watch.
Yeah. And we just stand Cordelia so much. It's like, I don't want her to fail. And like, Barney's telling him about the man on the motorcycle chasing him, blah, 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 blah. He doesn't know if it's a demon. And he even says to Angel, like, I'm a demon, I'm evil, sure, but I'm not, evil. And then enter Cordelia, and Crystal, what is her first thing that she does?
She gives Angel a big kiss. I love it. It's great. And I don't know. I knew exactly what was going on, but it's just really fun to watch Angel reacting to that. Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I love him like mumbling. Him like, you're just grieving. So yeah.
So what I love about this scene, I mean, other than the way that she walks in and looks at him like he is a piece of cake, like she is vamping there where she was not in the audition. But it's that Cordelia has already figured out exactly what has happened with the kiss and the visions. Like, she's not coming to Angel being like, oh, I don't know what's happening to me.
Yeah.
She's smart. This is where her capability is. And so we get straight to the physical comedy of her just trying to kiss every man she sees. And all I will say is, it's a shame that the entire cast of this show outside of Cordelia is male, or this might have won a GLAAD award.
Dana, do you think they would have actually had her kiss a girl if there was a girl in the cast?
Oh gosh. Let's see. This would have taken place what, season
4 of Buffy.
3-4 of Buffy. Okay. No. Not yet.
Because I'm wondering if they would have been able to do it because it's like funny, so it's not actually gay.
Only if it had been Sweeps Week.
Yeah. And also it's like, oh, it's not like a romantic kiss, it's a trying to pass on a curse kiss. So that's fine.
It's fine if you're trying to curse the gay person. But yeah, I love that, like, she kisses him, and then I love that Barney comes out of the bathroom and she kisses him too, because she does that same look, Philip, that you're talking about. She does it every time, and I love it. But she like makes eye contact and was like, all right, we're doing this. Like,
and because again, if there's one thing Cordelia Chase knows how to do, is lock down a man.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yes.
This is her wheelhouse.
Like, she's hot, she's got great hair, of course. Like, she's like, I'll make direct eye contact.
Okay, can we just say, Cordelia's hair in this episode, and I know I bring it up every single time, but you are grieving you're grieving the loss of like one of the only 2 friends you have in this city, and you are still conditioning in the morning. Good for you.
That updo would have taken like a full hour.
Right? Her hair, like, I always wonder how long, because her hair is so thick and like it's like gorgeous, right?
Yeah, the really intricate updo for her audition scene is really something.
Yeah.
But it was a national campaign, so it was worth going to the salon for.
Yeah, it is.
She played to her strength there.
I have trouble, like, my hair is like pretty flat, and I have trouble sometimes getting my like knot to look cute, and I'm like, oh, that would take fucking forever if you had that much hair.
Oh god, and when it's curly, it's even harder. But I love that, and this episode, and then kind of moving forward, I really love that how Cordelia was originally introduced to us in Buffy was to show us what Buffy used to be like before she was the Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
And now Cordelia is being given the exact same arc of she's got this new power and a destiny she never asked for, and we get to watch a completely different kind of character go on that same journey. And I have to say, she's largely more mature about the entire thing.
Yes.
I love that. So petty.
Well, it's funny. I think about like Room with a View, right? How she, like, when she tells the ghost off and she's like, I'm not this whiny little cry Buffy. Like, she still has time to be petty, but also is like, I'm going to embrace this and I'm going to tell you off. Fuck you. Like,
yeah, it's very X-Men. It's very like, you find out like who you really are when you get these powers, and you do like different characters deal with it in different ways. And I love that even though she's like, Buffy is a good person, Buffy's a superhero, Buffy like is my ally, but we're not friends. I don't like her.
Yes, it is very that, right? Like, we'll fight evil together, but I'm not going to like.
I've gone to brunch with tons of people I don't like. You know?
That's just being like a queer person.
Yeah, right?
That is the queer experience.
So she's kissed Barney, and Angel's like, listen, Cordelia, can you take care of this empath demon?
Right.
And I'm going to go check out his place.
And I do love that he gets a like jokey dig at her, and he's like, and behave, I don't want to come back with you two necking on the couch. That's like, for me, that's like when I'm like, oh, their chemistry is good, because she just like gives him a look like, fuck you, but like, they're friends and they're being jokey, and like, that's the kind of shit I love between them that does make me like them as a potential couple, because they do feel comfortable with each other, right?
Yes.
And I think, you can probably put that down to like a nice little bit of trauma bonding. They've both just lost the same person. It's going to bring them closer, blah, 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 blah.
And they both went through everything in Sunnydale together, so...
Right.
Yeah, but then Angel goes to Barney's apartment, and who does he meet?
We find out that our leather-clad motorcycle man is Wesley Wyndam-Pryce.
With the world's tiniest crossbow.
I will say, I do love how dead serious he's being. He's like, if you make any move, and Angel just slaps the crossbow out of his hand. He's like, right, you want a question? That I do like.
They make him so pathetic in this episode. Like, it really
so
is dialed up to
much.
11, and they go there repeatedly in season 1, and then I think in season 2 it's like, okay, we find the right balance for that.
Yes. That's why I know people do love Wesley's arc. And Dana, I will be curious what you think, because he does have a pretty good arc on the show, but because we got so little of him, it's not like Cordelia, where we had 3 seasons of her before she was on Angel.
Right. To me, it's like that trope of like pretty girls falling. Like, oh, pretty girls falling. It's so funny. And it's like, oh, the proper British guy bumbling
Right.
and you know, he's the pretty girl, right? He's falling all over the place. And I'm like, okay, it's just not working for me, Wesley.
Wesley, get it together. There are vampires and demons around.
Right?
I mean, at a certain point, it's like he's got an inner ear infection or something. Like, he is falling over nothing.
He's totally got vertigo. He does.
Like, take him to a doctor.
Something, God.
An inner ear
Get him some
infection.
orange juice or something.
I've had an inner ear infection. They're no joke.
They are not. They are definitely not. Maybe that's what the viscous or yellow liquid was.
So we learn that it's Wesley. I love Angel's demeanor with Wesley in this whole scene, because he's very like, whatever. Like, Wesley's just like kind of an annoyance, right? Like, he's not really threatened by him. He doesn't really care. He's just kind of like, well, I'm still investigating. So, and I like that, because a lot of times they'll have these characters like come in all chest puffy and whatever, but he's just kind of like, oh, it's you. All right, whatever. He tells Angel about like, oh, I'm tracking this demon. And we find out hasn't been tracking Barney. He's been tracking a different demon that has like this viscous that comes out. And Angel's like the one dripping on your shoulder. And we see the demons on the ceiling. We got a fight.
He does get shot by the crossbow.
Right. He does get shot. And then we cut to Cordelia. And Crystal, what is she doing?
Is she chatting with Barney?
She's sketching.
Well, this is a great scene because
Yes.
Because I feel like, again, it's doing that thing that Buffy was always so good at, which is like the demon of the week will somehow be used, or the problem of the week, to like develop the character's feelings or the narrative that's happening in the larger show. And it's almost like they remembered that they could do that in this show. And they're like, what if there's an empath thing and we can actually get to explore some of the feelings that these people are having about this death? I like that. I like a device, and I like when a supernatural device can kind of support the plot, and it's not just silly monster of the week, but there's a point.
Yes, and that's I really like that scene. I like legitimately do, because I do like, you know, she snaps at him and then she does apologize, right? She's like, sorry, I'm going through like, and she describes in a really sweet way. And this is where Charisma Carpenter's really good, right? She's good at being jokingly biting and then also sincere. So when she's like, you know, he drank too much, blah, 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 blah. But then she says nice things about him. And then she's like, well, he smelled a little bit. It reminds me of you. I don't know. I did like that. And that's when I was like, when she says he reminds me of you, I was like, okay, maybe they did style him like Doyle on purpose. I don't know.
I think that's literally Doyle's wardrobe.
Right? Like, it really does look like one of his jackets.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of cool though how while Cordelia is seeing this as like this really negative thing, he's a demon, so to him these gifts are like sacred.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to encourage her to look at this as like this really special thing that Doyle did, instead of like, you know, sticking her with this, you know, shitty situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, yeah, I that's the thing that Angel, one of the few things that I would say Angel does do a little bit better than Buffy is like, oh, demon stuff can be good, right? And I like that.
Obviously, Barney ends up being like the villain of the week, but this is a point of view that the show takes more and more moving forward, that a lot of demons are just people trying to live their own lives, and especially you know, after the episode we just had with the very clumsy Holocaust metaphor, you understand, and especially you know with the loss that they've just had with Doyle, who was a demon, you understand why Angel's impulse is to help him and why Cordelia's impulse is to help him. And that's it's just sort of, it's very much like, this is where it's like that nuance is one of the things that the show Angel becomes more accomplished at than Buffy, which was always much more about the black and white, I think.
Dana, I'm curious what you think as someone who has not watched Angel yet.
Yeah, there's a lot more familiarity and kind of like there's a lot of gray areas from in Angel that did not exist in Buffy. I totally agree with you guys. And you do get to see sides of these demons and, you know, creatures that normally would have just been like shot down with a spell or a stake.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And like, I do think that's the one place where I'm like, yes, continue that difference from Buffy. Like, I do like that. But okay. So then Angel and Wesley walk in, and I love that before she even realizes it's Wesley, Cordy gets up to kiss him.
This is the hair scene. This is the hair scene. This is the best she has ever looked. I don't know. I'm sure she will again in another episode, like next week. But right now I'm like, I could not believe how stunning she is as she's walking over to Wesley. It's outrageous.
and he just gets so swept up in it, and of course you would. I mean, I know that like there was a big joke at the end of season 3 of Buffy that their flirtation really led to them having no chemistry, but they are both so good looking. It must be so hard to act like you don't have chemistry with somebody when you are both really hot and just pashing away like that.
So true.
Yeah.
So what's the age difference meant to be with these characters? I know. Like,
I always thought Wesley was like freshly 30.
Right. So that was pretty weird that he was making out with a high school student.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it was not.
She hadn't even graduated when they had that first kiss. Although in this episode, I think because this show maybe has, you know, is bringing in viewers that weren't watching Buffy, they have a line where Barney ages her up a bit, and he's like, "You're what? Like you're in your early 20s?" And it's like, "Oh, are we just saying that moving forward?" Because Cordelia, like Buffy's like, "Oh, college is hard," and Buffy's like, "I'm trying to run a business, and also like migraines that are gonna eventually rot half my brain. So I'm just gonna be more of a grown up than you."
Yeah, right. I mean, that's always like for me the problem with remembering they're not supposed to be the same age, because they do look like. It's not like either of them look old, but they do look around 30.
She does not look like she is 18 years old.
No.
She looks like she's a very good 26.
Yes. Yeah. Like it doesn't look like there would be an age difference where you're like, ugh. So I do have to like remind myself of that.
Well, I guess what I'm saying is it's appropriate for the show to kind of pretend that they're the same age now.
Yeah.
Which I think they're basically doing a bit of hand waving, and we don't need to worry about that so much.
And I think because, Angel, the show is about redemption. It's not about growing up. So they really do just age Cordelia up. And I think they probably never really mention again how young she is. Like she is a peer of Wesley and Angel.
Yeah, I almost feel like, moving forward, they like do not mention it, and they just act like everyone's around the same age, which like, I don't know. It doesn't really bother me. For me, I'm like, all right, that's fine, right? Because it's like the actors have grown up, they've gotten older. Yeah.
Well, I remember watching this episode, you know, back in 2001 or whenever it would have been, and being really shocked because in one scene you can see that Cordelia has a tramp stamp, and I was like, oh my god, she's 18 and she's already got a tattoo. Oh my god, like Cordelia wouldn't get a tattoo. Cordelia would think that tattoos on men are hot and tattoos on girls are tacky. And I was like, oh my god, she's so like grown up, just having a hot girl summer getting tattoos.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of, because Sarah Michelle Gellar has one too, and you can see it in season 6, like you see it a couple times in that same spot. I mean, as Dana just said, it was the 90s or the early 2000s. That was an on purpose Goldie Hawn quote, right, Dana?
Oh, from
First Life's Club.
First Life's Club, yeah.
Yeah, so we make allowances for our faves, and they do like our little catch up. I love that Wesley's like, "Oh, it's so nice to see you," and he's like, "I'm a rogue demon hunter," and she says, "What's a rogue demon?"
I just the fun they have with that
Yes.
that moniker is like he might as well just say, "I'm not like a regular demon hunter. I'm a rogue demon hunter."
Right.
like bloody Amy Poehler in Mean Girls. It's just like it's so stupid and it never lands. And the leather outfit and the way that it chafes his legs, just so stupid. And again, like that outfit on that actor, if he performed it differently, would be really hot.
Yeah.
But because he's being such a nerd about it, it's just it's very funny.
It's like he's wearing garbage bags instead of leather. He's just so uncomfortable in it.
And he's been on a motorbike for God knows how many like weeks chasing this demon across the country. So it's just like, oh God, what must that situation be like underneath? Horrific.
Philip, ew.
It's a soup in there.
And then so Angel's going to Barney's. I'm not sure if it's his apartment or hotel room. I don't remember which. Whatever, doesn't matter.
No. So he met Wesley at the apartment, and now
they're
this
back.
is like.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Now he's going to Koreatown. Right. That's where he's
Koreatown,
going.
because the demon's Asian, so where else would he go but Koreatown?
Well, and finally, we actually get what Wesley does well, and that's research. And so he's like, "Oh no, I think we know what kind of demon this is. Let's go find him."
Yeah, and like I do, like you said, Dana, I do like that because it's like, yes, he is good at something. That is something he would, as a watcher, like have to be good at, right?
Right.
We can't have him bumbling research.
The addition of Wesley kind of gives everyone on the show a purpose where it was kind of unclear previously what everyone's job was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As in terms of like, what's my plot device? Now everyone has one. It kind of makes sense.
And Angel feeling his broody self is, of course, feeling guilt over Doyle. So he doesn't want anyone to go with him as he goes to track down this demon. I mean, I would not want Wesley to go with me simply because I know I'd have to take care of him during the whole situation. But he was like, "No, I'm doing this alone." And they're like, "Okay, that's not how it's going to work, Angel."
So he goes to Koreatown to like a spa bathhouse type thing.
This episode just loves bathhouses.
Yeah, seriously.
Seriously. That was another great moment with that reveal of that demon being like, "Do you know where the steam room is?" or whatever. Just like, that's another Buffyism. It's just silly. It's fun. It's like, yes, more of that. More of that.
Right? Yeah. Yeah, I do. I love that it's like, especially like a very like devilly looking demon with like, and he's just like, where are they? Where's that at? And Angel's like, ugh. That is shit that's like fun, right? They let themselves have fun. Like, sure, you can take it seriously that he's investigating a demon, but like have like a little silly thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, because as this episode establishes, like a lot of demons are just trying to get on with their lives and, get like a nice deep tissue massage.
Right.
Yeah, exfoliating peel.
Yeah, this poor Kungai demon, like he was just minding his own business when his horn gets stolen and he's dying. And luckily, Wesley has some understanding of the language he's speaking, so they get bits and pieces of what happened to this demon.
Okay, so speaking of the language barrier, I was reading up on this episode, and apparently while the man at the front desk at the sauna and the woman in the sauna are both speaking Korean, David Boreanaz's lines are actually just gibberish.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
That's so grim.
It's really so bad, and it's just like it's the most 2001 thing ever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, like no one's gonna know. Who's gonna care?
I was cringing when they said it's an Asian demon because that was already like, wow, that's incredibly unspecific. And then to have him just speaking gibberish, oof, that's bad.
That, I mean, you're right though. That is very 2000s.
Imagine that she'd just been like, "I'm sorry, what?" Because also, why would Angel speak Korean?
Right. Yeah. And like,
has he spent like we've never heard of him spending time in Korea, right? Like, whatever. Sure. It turns out he doesn't.
Yeah, it turns out. God, that is
Maybe that's it. Like they're just like, oh, the white guy is here, but he's giving us cash, so just like point him in the right direction.
Yeah.
let him pretend he's saying the right things. But I do like that. So this is kind of interspersed with Cordelia and Barney, right? As Wesley arrives and he's like, I speak this language. We're getting Barney and Cordelia, and she like serves him some tea, because prior to this, we get him making a phone call where he's like, found something better than whatever the demon was that he was hunting. And I do hate him getting super nasty with Cordelia. That's another point when I'm like, I want her to read him for filth. Like, tell him what an asshole he is.
I mean, she gets a good kick in, but he smacks her hard.
Yeah.
Twice, yeah. And it's the way that when he turns on that dime, it's not a subtle performance at all. He is like twirling his mustache, and just like reading her for filth. And it's like, oh, but no, like it was such a good performance when you were being nice. Like that speech about Doyle leaving Cordelia, the most precious thing he had to his name, like almost brought me to tears. And now it's like, oh no, you're just like a gross, grubby, like, oh, I can't wait for you to die.
Yeah. I hate all the things he says to her, but I do like you mentioned, Dana, I do like that she's like pretends to have a vision because she is smart, and she's like, you're in trouble. And then she like knees him in the nuts. And I was like,
gotten out of stickier spots.
Yeah. I was like, good for you. But yeah, so it's the demon tells Wesley that it's what was it? Human heart. I forget what's the word he says, human heart reader or something.
Oh yeah, heart reader. Right. So empath. So they figure out pretty quickly that it's actually Barney, but they get to the apartment and he's, Cordelia's already gone.
And we see Cordelia waking up to what she saw in her vision, which I appreciated. I didn't even need them to go back to that. I forgot about it at this point. And I was like, oh, the statue she's looking at, which, by the way, looks a lot like one of the statues that comes to life in Beetlejuice.
Oh my God, it's an original Catherine O'Hara.
My God,
really?
It's a Delia.
Delia Dietz.
Delia Dietz.
I feel like I never felt older. I never felt older than when the internet was like, oh my God, the mom from Schitt's Creek was in Beetlejuice. I was like, oh my God.
That's what she's 1,000 years old.
I love
she was also in this thing called Home Alone.
I love that Angel's like, oh, I know that thing. That's Maiden with Urn. Like, since when is...
Does Angel think he knows art like Angel thinks he knows Korean?
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Give us the season where Angel's a Korean art critic.
Right. Oh my God. But when they open that computer to try to find where this Maiden with Urn is, I screamed out loud. I was like, it took them like 20 minutes just to load this website.
Yes.
That whole bit is like they're still pretending for a little while longer that this is a detective show. Because they have to like track something down to a hotel, but it's like it's fine. We're gonna get rid of this like conceit very, very soon. So don't worry about it.
It really is. Right. Like we'll be done with this. Don't worry.
and then Wesley realizes that word that he was trying to figure out, which has this click in it. He was like, oh, it means auction. So they like. Okay, great. So they figure out that there's some sort of auction happening when they're going to auction off Cordelia.
Yeah. And we find out that's where she is, right?
I love the auction though. That like just ramshackle grouping of humans and demons is so great.
Oh my God.
So great.
I couldn't figure out if it was a woman or a man or somebody in drag. Basically, like the one all in black sat next to the one with the white hair, and I was like, oh, it's The Cure.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Just
it's fantastic.
Fantastic bit of campy. I was like, oh, there are gay people in this show.
Uh-huh.
And of course, we get the Wolfram and Hart lawyer, who is very, very hot.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What's funny is
that law firm only hires 10s.
Only 10s. She's a 10, but she works for an evil law
firm. And what's funny is in my brain, I thought this was I was like, oh, this is where Lila shows up. Like in my brain, the woman lawyer was Lila, but I guess we still haven't met many of the Wolfram and Hart lawyers yet.
We haven't met Lila yet?
No, so she comes up in The Ring, which is, I think, like a couple of episodes from this.
Oh, is that the one that's her first one? Okay.
Yeah, and I only know that because I've very recently been watching sort of the post-Doyle episodes. And I mean, I could get very distracted talking just about how hot she is in that episode specifically, but we're going to get back to the auction. And Cordelia is indignant that she is fetching such a low price at the auction, and it's just so her. It's so her.
Right? Like, if I'm going to die, if you're going to take my eyes out, you better pay good money for me.
For real.
I like, that's just like, it just is very like quintessential Cordelia being like, excuse me, like, you better pay more for me. And I love that she's like mocking the crowd too.
It's like, if there's one thing that she has always been good at, it's knowing her own worth.
Right.
Yes.
So she's going to let them know.
Absolutely. She's still pissed at the end of this. But then Angel and Wesley figure out where they're supposed to be, and of course we get Angel vamping out because he gets pissed and running through this hotel.
I don't know. I for me, this is another thing where it's like, it's a weird idea, but it works really well, of like an auction of like mystical items. Like I think that works, and I almost like, I don't know. That's the kind of shit that Angel does that I do like, where it's like, oh, just this like group of like, you know, I mean, it does turn violent when the two like goth drag queens are like betting against each other and then they fight. But like, I kind of like that it's just a bunch of demons, like, you know, trying to buy mystical shit.
Oh, and we don't mention that the Kungai's horn is sold before Cordelia.
Right. Yes.
And we get to see exactly what that does later on.
Right.
But yeah, it's a fun, like a kind of, it's like a twist on the goblin market in, you know, sort of folklore. And it's just like, it's a nice nod to, there is a much wider world in this show, and we're only seeing glimpses of it. You know, that there's this whole other kind of demi-monde in Los Angeles that we are not party to.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder why Buffy spends all her time at the Hellmouth. Like, there's so much else going on.
Right.
We need more than one Slayer.
Right, because they say there's so much demonic activity because of the Hellmouth, but like, there are a lot of demons in LA. Yeah, so God, where the hell?
Okay, so Angel and Wesley storm in, and Angel's just like knocking over all these priceless exhibits that people have just bought. And earlier we saw Wesley taping a knife to his leg, and he then can't get it out. And he's just like falling over. He manages to free Cordelia, and then he starts brawling with Barney. But then Barney
he never gets the knife free, does he?
No, it's still there. Season 5, end of that season, it's still on there.
Oh, he's able to grab the horn and undo Cordelia, but we find out that this is going to be this is a very big episode for Cordelia, because not only does she now have mystical powers, she's just made her first demon kill.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I actually forgot the whole conceit of what the horn does. I just thought that was kind of what that man, like, you know how like
your life force.
I kind of, you know how like vamps get dusted. I was like, oh, I guess that's how that breed of demon dies. They like curl up into whatever, crispy whatever.
They die like the Wicked Witch of the West.
But you are right. It is very much because of the horn. But also, so the reason her like auctioning is delayed because Wolfram and Hart just wants the eyes removed, right? The lawyer says she'll pay extra. So they have to take more time, which buys Angel and I almost said Doyle, Wesley, more time. I'm glad that even though Cordelia didn't get like her big moment with Barney, that she was the one to kill him, right? Because like, after all, like he was the one that like beat her up and kidnapped her and like dragged her. Like I was glad that she was able to be like the one to get like the last laugh with him.
Definitely. And it is quite nice that like the demon that died in vain kind of also got justice a little bit through the death.
Yeah. And it's cute. She like hugs him. But I do, the The Wesley bumbling is a little much for me. I'm like, all right, come on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah. So in the next scene, we get that lovely moment where Cordelia frames the sketch and it's like, a piece of Doyle is still with them.
I really like that.
And then Wesley ruins it because he's like, I've got to hit the road and my only friends are the wind and the rain. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just like, it'll take a while for his self-serious version of comic relief to mesh with the other two characters. But then we also get them sitting down to breakfast together. And I really did love that as a way of, it's like a nice shorthand for the family unit that Cordelia and Angel built together with Doyle. They're now like welcoming Wesley into it as well.
Vaguely welcoming.
You're like, see you later, whatever.
They just don't care. They're like, I mean, there's coffee and eggs, or like you can fuck off either way, like whatever.
Like they were indifferent to either scenario.
Yeah.
And I kind of love that. I do love that he's like, well, gotta go. And Cordelia literally just like popping something for food in her mouth and is like, well, keep in touch, bye. Like, but they are like, yeah, either sit down, eat the eggs or leave, but we're eating. And I do think that was a really nice scene to be like, this is a new family unit. And like, I will not lie, that scene made me a little emotional, just like knowing where the show goes. And like the three of them are such important characters for the show. And like Wesley becomes so important and what Wesley and Cordelia go through. I was just like, man, this is nice. They don't get a lot of like nice moments, right? Where they just get to like
and
be
Angel's
friends.
the one that's cooking for them, and Angel doesn't eat. And it's just like, it shows that he's really growing as a character as well. That he, at the start of the show, Doyle literally said to him, like, you need to connect with people. And so this is him doing that.
Oh, it's him finally listening to Doyle.
That's
I kind of
nice.
like that. Yeah, I like Cordelia, like having the frame picture of the like vision she had. I just think it's like a very nice end, and it is like a very nice start to the soft reboot of the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're like remembering Doyle, we're not forgetting him, but we're bringing in a new family member.
Can I ask a spoiler question? Dana, plug your ears.
Oh yeah, no worries.
Do Cordelia and Wesley ever have like a thing ever again? They don't, do they? That's it, totally done now.
Yeah.
That's kind of nice too. That it's like there's nothing there.
It's very much more like Angel and Wesley are her like overprotective older brothers for the next season or so until Cordelia and Angel grow closer.
Yeah, and I do like that. Dana, what do you think of that? Would you have liked if there was a little bit of will they, won't they with her and Wesley, or no?
No, God, no.
Right? It feels like Cordelia's, especially this version of Wesley, Cordelia would be like, oh, please. Like, right?
Yeah. She's seen a bit more of the world and she can see right through.
I mean, I can see where she would be so much more simpatico with Angel.
Yeah. Yes, agreed. Yeah, so I guess we're at the end of the episode. What was your favorite scene, Philip?
I think my favorite scene is Barney before he kind of flips the switch and puts on his villain mask, saying to Cordelia, well, it sounds like Doyle had, very few possessions and he gave you something very precious to him. And he trusted you. And it's just like, oh, yeah, I really, even though he ends up being an absolute baddie, I love that because it's true.
Yeah, I kind of, both these shows do that well, where it's like the outsider is able to say the thing that's like the main characters need to hear that they aren't thinking about, right? Like that's how like Spike ends up being part of the group, and Anya, like, and even Cordelia with Buffy is the outsider, and she's able to be like, oh my God, you're all being stupid. So I really like that too. Crystal, what was your favorite scene?
I loved that scene as well. I think it was really powerful, but I'm going to go for the campery of a demon auction. And it's just, I love that. I love that moment. Fabulous.
Dana?
I'm with Crystal. Demon auction. It was just, I could watch a whole spinoff of just like, a whole bunch of demons like doing stuff in LA.
Oh my God. Like flog it, but with like gremlins. I love it.
Antique throat show.
I would watch that. I think my favorite scene is the end. I just love them eating breakfast together. I'm like, I love these characters. And I feel like, we've been trudging through the beginning of Angel, and it is a rough start. But this episode, and it's, it's not by nowhere near the best episode of the series, but it reminded me, oh shit, I do love this. Like, you know what I mean? It was a nice reminder to be like, Wesley's here. The family's all settled. Moving forward, we will just add characters. We won't be like losing anyone. And the show just feels a lot more confident at this point, even though we do get clunkers after this. This feels like the most confident they are. The first time they're confident in season 1 in what the show is. So yeah, I do really like that end moment. We're probably all gonna have the same one. Favorite outfit, Crystal?
Oh, it's got to be Goth Demon. It's got to be Goth Demon.
Oh shit.
Oh no, I think I know what you're talking about, Ian.
Yes, Dana, what was your favorite outfit?
Okay, I'm going to go for Cordelia's cut out, not quite the shoulder of the sweater, but like right below, like where you can see just a little bit of like her tricep.
Yeah.
And it's army green.
Dana, remind me, I can't remember. Was that more in the style back then, or was that just like a weird shirt even then?
Well,
that was definitely a thing. I remember people wearing stuff like that.
Yeah, but
I wore stuff like that.
The holes would have been on the shoulders and not like kind of like in a random place. But I think it's kind of a cool shirt.
Yeah, Philip?
Well, Cordelia's fashion forward, and she would not have cutouts in the same place as everybody else. So there is a lot of great storytelling going on with clothing in this episode. So you've got, Barney wearing the basic like Doyle drag. You could even you could even have like a theory where it's like, oh, because he's an empath, he wears something like that when he shows up at the office because he knows it'll get him closer to Angel and Cordelia. You've got Wesley's horrendous leather outfit, but then also once he has like a bit of a moment of reckoning with himself, he shows up again dressed like the man from Del Monte, and that's how we see him for the rest of the season. And then you've got just like Angel in a very classic black cable knit. So it's been a good episode for clothes, but I'm going to have to go with the olive green sweater with the cutout shoulders.
Yeah, same. I think she looks cute in it. It's weird. It almost, you mentioned Star Trek earlier, Philip. I feel like it looks almost like a casual wear from Star Trek. Like Deanna Troi might wear that at her home, right?
Oh, and she would look great in it.
Yeah.
And with similar hair, just black curls. Yeah.
Yes. What grade do we give the episode, Dana?
I'm going to say a B.
All right, fair. Philip?
I'm going to say a B+, because it is definitely the strongest episode that I've been on to talk about since we started covering Angel. So it's been a nice change of pace for that, but I also know that things are only going to get better from here.
All right. Crystal?
I'm going to give it a B.
All right, fair.
I think that's my highest score yet.
I think it is, Crystal. I think, I like, it was just so nice to watch this episode. It was like, oh, this episode is like comfortable in the story they're telling. This episode, it just like, again, it's not the best episode of the show, but so far it was like, this is nice.
Yeah, nothing feels too forced. Everything is like finding a pace. There's some familiarity, and they're doing some of the Buffy stuff, which is what made the show so good. So
yeah. I give it a B+.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think I might have given one or two of the episodes that same grade. So thank you all for joining me. Dana, I'm so happy that you were here for your first full episode.
Yes, glad I could be here before my life turns into more chaos.
And thank you all for listening. If you like us, you can find Slayerfest 98 on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. If you want to support us on Patreon, we are going through Harley Quinn Season 2 and What If, and we have a bunch of episodes on other random movies and shows. Any and all support is much appreciated. We also have a Discord server for our Patreon. And if you want to follow us on social media, we are at SlayerFestX98. If you want to follow me, I am at IanXCarlos. Dana, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Dana Piccoli, and you can also find me writing and doing all sorts of stuff at News Is Out, which is brand new queer media collaborative between 7 queer media publishers. Crystal, where can people find you?
You can find me at Crystal Will See You Now on all those good social media platforms. And I also have a podcast called The Things That Made Me Queer, where we talk about all of the weird and wonderful things that make people who they are.
And Philip?
You can find me in the Korean bathhouse. Failing that, you can find me on Twitter at Philip_Ellis. That's Philip with 1 L, Ellis with 2, and on Instagram at Philip Ellis.
All right, cool. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.